A very warm welcome to the World of Lord Russell podcast talk show. And today's show is Hellraiser by the Menace, which captures the life of an English former professional darts player. He won 2 world championships and was the first player to win both BDO and WDC. Now the PDC, of course, world championships in 1991 and 1994, respectively. He was nicknamed the Menace after the Beano character, Dennis the Menace, and he reflected this by wearing red and black Dennis the Menace style shirts and using red and black flights. Yes, folks, it gives me immense pleasure to welcome on the show Dennis Priestley. Welcome to the show, Dennis.
Thank you very much, Russell.
It's an absolute pleasure to have you on. It really is. You've had a really, really good professional life in darts. But of course, it all starts from the beginning, Dennis, as you know. So you were brought up in Mexborough, West Riding of Yorkshire, and you're originally a coal merchant by trade, and you didn't enter professional darts until you're almost 40 years old. A rather late start, Dennis, especially when you compare the youngsters that are on the professional darts circuit today. You know, Luke Littler, 16. The current world champion, Luke Humphreys. I mean, he's young too. I mean, it's an incredible late start.
Well, yeah, Luke Humphreys is 28 years of age, and that's more or less when I picked a set of darts up.
Wow.
Obviously, I was born in 1950, so when I won the embassy in 91, I was 40 years and a half.
Wow.
And I wasn't a professional until after winning the embassy. That's when I decided to give it a go.
An incredible start, isn't it? Incredible start. I mean, really, why the late start as a professional darts player, a good player too, and the inspiration behind you joining the professional darts family, and it's a family too, as we know, at this time of your life. You know, okay, you won the embassy, but
well, I was a gradual build-up to being a fairly decent player. I started in my local pub, the Miners' Arms at Mexborough, South Yorkshire, not West Yorkshire, by the way. I best
stag corrected
before I get killed. And it was a double board only, no trebles on the board, and we stood 9 inch closer to the board. And I could hit fairly decent scores, and then progressed onto a treble board in I think it was the late 80s after Leighton Reese winning the very first embassy in 78 in Nottingham, beating John Law in the final.
Yeah.
And so it was steady progress for me. I started in the pub game. Then I got a little bit better and started playing in the Super League, where every game you play and every dart you throw, there's an average taken and sent into the headquarters of Yorkshire Darts. Got selected to play for Yorkshire. As you can tell, as I'm going on about this, I've spoke about this many, many times.
Indeed.
I got selected for Yorkshire, started playing for Yorkshire in 83, 84, something like that. Steady progress till 3 or 4 years after that. I got picked for England. And I won tournaments, £1,000 tournaments up and down the country before that. So I would imagine the top professional guys did know who I was. But I don't think they expected how I performed in the embassy on my first attempt.
Absolutely, and of course, in 1989, you did reach the final of the News of the World Darts Championship, where you were beaten by the experienced Dave Whitcomb, and I do remember Dave, of course. You then reached the semi-finals of the 1990 Windmail World Masters, losing to eventual champion Phil Taylor. So some early career successes.
Yes, that's right. The News at World were a big experience. That was played in London, the Hammersmith Odeon. It's probably the only time I missed a double all days. When I had a chance to win, I had 2 darts at double 8. On the wires, it wasn't as if I missed by a mile. And I said to Dave after he hit, I think he wanted tops, he went single 20, big 10. And they said he closed his eyes when he hit double 5.
Wow.
I wish he'd have kept him open.
He was a great player, wasn't he, in his time, Dave Whitcomb?
Yeah, Dave, yes, a good steady professional Dave.
Yeah, he certainly was. He certainly was indeed.
The great Jockey Wilson was in that tournament as well.
Great Jockey Wilson. Fantastic. I can remember seeing a picture going back, and I've got it clearly in my mind with Jockey Wilson, obviously the great and our late friend, of course, Eric Bristow, and the big man himself. Oh, crikey, what's his name? Crikey.
Cliff
Cliff
Lazarenko.
Lazarenko. How could I forget Cliff Lazarenko?
Incidentally, Russell, I think it's 4 years today that Eric died.
Yes, it is. And it's still on my mind, as I think it is most people that met Eric. He was an inspirational man, wasn't he? He really was. Sensational character.
It was definitely a character,
That's for
a
sure.
one-off.
Oh,
Definitely.
absolute one-off. You'll never see another Eric Bristow ever, I don't think. Particularly in darts, and it's a different game now, isn't it? It's moved on into a different era, I should say.
Different, yeah. There's a big different standard. I mean, obviously the equipment's slightly better.
Yes.
The tungstens and the wiring's better on the boards. Not as much wiring to get a bounce out with the dart. So it is improved it slightly.
I think you're right. And although watching darts at the moment, every Thursday, of course, the Premier League darts, I absolutely love Premier League darts on a Thursday. There has been surprisingly quite a lot of darts bouncing out. I've noticed that every week. The thin wires, but they seem to come out quite regularly.
Yeah, well, that's how good they are now. They can hit the wires.
Yeah, absolutely. Aim for the wires. That's why you get it. But it's a competition they have before the tournament. How many bounce outs can we get and still win? Maybe it's a
well, you ask any professional dart player if they want to say 65, Russell,
yes.
and they go at 25. I can assure you they aim for the ball.
Yes, and that's visible.
Hoping
isn't
not
it?
to hit it, obviously.
Yes, indeed. No, I can see that. And there's quite a lot of shots actually in Premier League now where they're going for the middle, aren't they? 25s and 50s more regularly than they used to.
Yeah,
the game has changed.
They are this modern day player. They are using more of the board.
Yes.
Different combinations than we thought of.
Yeah, because I've noticed a lot now. You might aim for the 20s, get for the treble 20s, but the dart lands in a bad place. They don't carry on at the 20s, drop down to the 19s, or they're not
19s.
The 18s.
Yeah.
Quite a different game these days.
That used to be my cover shot, treble 18. If
Nice.
I got a bad lie with the treble 20.
Yeah, just pop across the board to the 18s.
Yeah, well, you're not moving your eye line or your body stance as much.
No, you're not. You're quite right there. And still able to get a good score if you hit the trebles, treble 18s.
Yeah, it's only
reasonable.
Only a few points less than, you score 54 instead of 57.
Yeah, that's it. So there's nothing in it at all, is there? Let's be honest.
No.
Yeah, that suits your style of play, Dennis, which you obviously did. And that's brilliant. Absolutely brilliant.
Yeah, I had quite a lot of 128s in my time.
Yes, I can imagine. You then started your meteoric rise on the darting circuit, and shortly after becoming a news agent, you won the 1991 Embassy World Championship. You mentioned it slightly earlier. After beating our dear friend, and of course now the late Eric Bristow, 6-0 in the final. I mean, Eric, 6-0 in the final. How possible was that? You must have been on fire. You had you had defeated defending champion Phil Taylor in the quarterfinals, and the 1988 champion Bob Anderson in the semis. So some huge scalps along the way too, Dennis. You must have some fond memories of this tournament.
I have. I've got real fond memories. I mean, some people will say that I had an easy couple of games leading up to it, which on paper it wasn't. There wasn't easy, but they turned out to be easy. There were 3-0, a couple of 3-0s. Magnus Carris was my first game. Magnus returned to Embassy simply because he made the quarterfinals the year before.
Yeah,
and Bob Suneve had represented Canada in the Embassy quite a few times. And when I looked at it, I'm thinking, well, if I can get to the quarters, then I'm going to be asked, to come back to play in the foreign years embassy. So that was my goal, and I reached that target. And then obviously I was playing Phil Taylor, who beat me a couple of times prior to that.
Yes.
And I was 3-1 down and came back and won 4-3 with some big finishing. But Phil was the only guy what did have a dart to knock me out of that tournament.
He certainly did, and we'll come on to some of those a bit later on in the show. But you are great friends with Phil Taylor as well, aren't you? You're good buddies on and off the dart circuit.
Yeah, obviously we don't live in each other's pocket. He sends me these daft videos now and again. There were a beauty other day, two motorbikes, one coming one way, one coming the other. And it must have been in a warm climate because the coconut fell off the tree and hit the guy coming towards him. I mean, the 1,000,000 to 1 chance that timing would be like that, and hit him smack on the head. I know I shouldn't laugh, and then he veered off into the grass verde, and I do hope he was okay, but it was hell of a shot.
Yeah, absolutely. As you say, 1,000,000 to 1 chance of it happening. I mean, there you go. That's
Yeah.
life, isn't it? These things happen, as we know. But wonderful, wonderful little story.
Yeah, well, I mean, obviously with Phil Taylor, when we did split away, it was very difficult. We had to play in America quite a lot, and Canada, and to go over there, we'd have his own airfares to pay for, his hotels, and the prize money was very, very, very poor, to be fair. So the obvious thing and the financial thing was try and find a good player to play in pairs with you. 501 cricket pairs, 501 scores. You know, there were mixed doubles, there were mixed triples. You had to play all them in a weekend. So we just used to pool as winnings.
Fantastic. Yeah, because darts wasn't very well paid going back in the day, was it? And it took a while to bring the numbers up in terms of payment, prize money, which
Exactly
it has now. I mean, now it's incredible, isn't it? But back in your day, it wasn't quite the same at all, was it?
No, it was very poorly paid.
Exactly, yeah. And you'd win the 1992 Windmill World Masters, I should say. And you also picked up many other BDO Open events between 1991 and 1993. For a man starting in the world of professional darts late in life, and I say late in life, it's not really at the age of 40, in the world of professional darts, you were doing very well, Dennis. Are there any particular dart competitions during this 2-year period that you have great memories of? And I'm sure there are some wonderful stories too, even backstage. You could enlighten us to.
Well, yeah, obviously the Windmill World Masters always comes to mind because it was a great final. I play well. The semi was a great semi against Alan Warriner. I was fortunate to be on the winning side. I hit some big finishes to really kill that game off with a 35 point something per dart average, which was, in them days, that's 105 plus.
Yes.
And they talk deliriously about it if you're in the hundreds now. But yeah, I was two sets to 0 down in the final against Mike Gregory. Another one was passed away, unfortunately.
Yes, sadly. Yes.
And I think Mike did have 1 or 2 darts to clinch a win, but I fought back and won 3 sets to 2 with another 100 plus average. One game going over 15 darts in that final. And that was the last game. 17 darts.
So any backstage antics, Dennis, that were going on? I know what it's like backstage because some real characters in those days.
Yeah, well, like you said, it was a darting family. I mean, obviously, when you're in each other's pocket all the time, you do have bits of arguments now and again.
Of course you do.
But all in all, it wasn't a bad setup, really.
No, it's fairly good. I can remember going with Keith Dedder actually to the World semi-finals. Actually, it must have been about 2015 or 16 now, I think it was. And it was a fantastic final. I was in the players' bar having a few drinks and so on with a few of the players. And in walks Eric Bristow. I think it was after the first semi-final. He walks in and all I could hear was, "Oh, I see they let all the wastes and strays in here now, Lord Russell." He turned around and said, Eric, with a big smile on his face. And, it's just great camaraderie, wasn't it? Or still is.
Yeah. So I've been told it's got a little bit edgy now again. Some people won't practice in the same room, etc. I suppose it comes with territory once big money starts coming into the game. It heightens the edge a little bit more, I would imagine.
Yeah, I guess it does.
The question you asked me with the 1992 that year was a particularly great year for myself. Unfortunately, with the splitting up, I never got a chance to defend the 12 titles I won in that year. British Open, British Classic, Windmill World Masters, Canadian Open, many in America.
Yes.
Welsh. I'll tell you what, the Welsh Open was one of the hardest I competed in. There was above 3,000 entries,
Wow.
and that's played off over a weekend.
That's
And
incredible.
I was absolutely cream crackered when we'd done.
Mm.
But I got to, try and. I think that in the final was either Alan Warren or Rod Harrington. One was a semi and one was a final. I forget which way it was now. All that tired.
Yes, I can imagine. And not to be able to defend your titles, that is depressing in some ways, isn't it?
Yeah,
Not to be there to defend it.
the other real big one in the BDO then at that particular time, besides the Windmill World Masters and the Embassy, was the Gold Cup, which
Yes.
I'd won 2 years on the bounce and didn't get a chance to, defend that. Plus being England captain, never been able to, achieve that honour of doing it after being selected to be the captain.
Yeah, we'll come on to that because that was a disappointing part, which is my next question, really. Because you are, I say, an original founder member of the World's Darts Council, the WDC, which is now, of course, the PDC, as you mentioned earlier on, which split from the British Darts Organisation, the BDO, in 1993. And as a consequence, you were precluded from assuming the role of England captain, which you just mentioned, which you had been awarded shortly beforehand. I mean, this must have been a blow, Dennis, as captain your country. It's a huge achievement in any sport. You must be devastated.
Yeah, I was at the time, but I got to look at the bigger picture at that particular time. We got to a situation, Russell, where we was playing the Embassy. I played the Embassy in January of '91, and we didn't have anything else to play in until the April. And I
Right.
think that was a competition what was put together very quickly. It was anybody what had won a title with World in it, and that was played back down at Lakeside in April. And look, would have it, I managed to win that one. I was we could have a bet then. I was 11-2. And
Wow.
we had a collection in the local pub. Well, I used to go in Red Lion, and I ended up putting 600 quid on at 11-2.
That's
So,
nice, isn't it? Nice little earner, as they would say.
but when I came up, when I came up to paying everybody out, and I had 20 on. I had 20 on. I thought I can't remember taking 20 off you, but yeah, here's 130 quid with your 20 quid back. So I didn't end up with a deal myself.
Oh, that's a shame.
Yeah,
I'm sure a
we
few
went
chances.
we went waltzing in Corals, bookmakers in I think it was Aldershot.
Oh, the shot of all
Yeah,
places, yeah.
we went down, and I went to counter. Can I have 600 quid on Dennis Priestley, please? In the start. Well, she shot off like a rat up a drain pipe to go to see Gaffer in back. Anyway, she came back. She says, "Yeah, we'll accept your bet." So that was that.
Wonderful. So it wasn't good for them, but it was good for you, or maybe not good for you, but good for the waits and strays that said they gave you £20. They come out okay.
Yeah,
Oh, that's a good story, though, isn't it? Wonderful.
yeah, yeah. I mean, it's as good as the story as getting back after winning the Embassy,
Yeah.
back to my local Red Lion. Because I had to go to a dinner and do a bit of a speech after Embassy
Yeah.
in Lakeside, and then we drove back up home. I think it was 2.5, 3 hours back home, and we got into the pub and let us hair down, as you would say.
Yeah.
And contrary to all my friends, the Yorkshiremen are not that tight because I stood the bar bill that night.
Oh, well done, Dennis. That's great stuff. Well, next time I meet you out in Tenerife, I'll keep you to stand in the bar bill there as well. No, of course not.
You've got the meals to buy next time I see you.
I have indeed. It's on me next time. Yes, we had a great meal, didn't we, going back in
Yeah, the
2018?
short one, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, it'll be my time next time out. What are you out in Tenerife next, by the way, Dennis?
Hopefully late October into November time, and then back for us winter break in January.
Yeah, I'll bear that in mind. Because it's a winter holiday island, isn't it? So it's
What not to
fantastic.
turn up?
Yeah, no, I will turn up. I'll definitely be turning up around that time because it's a winter isle, isn't it? It's where you
Yeah.
go for your winter
Oh,
sun.
it's nice. You get up in the morning, it's sunshine, it's 18 degrees.
Oh.
Back home, it's grey, miserable. Probably never see daylight all day. So
Well,
I'm very fortunate.
I've just come back. I was there last week for 10 days, and it's 28 degrees every day. Absolutely wonderful.
That's right.
Bit of sunshine, bit of vitamin D into the body again. So it was wonderful.
Yes.
But after your disappointment of not being able to captain your country, England, of course, on the plus slide, you did win the inaugural WDC World Darts Championship in 1994 when you beat Phil Taylor 6-1 in the final. This high point was surrounded by several wins on the WDC's new professional circuit, including the Skull Match Play, UK Match Play, Antwerp Open, and Samson Darts Classic, all in 1993 and 1994. I mean, a huge couple of years at the top in darts, Dennis. I mean, that's just incredible. Phil Taylor 6-1 in the final. That's a classic, isn't it?
Well, yeah, and it was similar format to the embassy. After five sets, you had a break, and then Phil came back and won the first set back. And I thought, oh, is this the big fight back? But I managed to clinch it in the seventh set, which was nice. But I didn't realise what I was creating.
Yeah,
the monster of Phil Taylor. He didn't like that thrashing I gave him, and he knuckled down and worked really hard to his game, and hence what he's achieved.
absolutely, and a huge achievement too. When you think about it as well, I seem to remember the story. I mean, it was Eric Bristow, wasn't it, that sort of nurtured Phil Taylor into the game?
Eric spotted his talent, sure.
He did, absolutely. And without Eric doing that, Phil arguably probably wouldn't be where he is today. So great man, Eric. Another accolade that we can put onto Eric.
So,
absolutely brilliant man. I mean, since then, since that 6-1 win, you had been a PDC World Championship runner-up 4 times in 1996, 1997, 1998 and 2000, losing to Phil Taylor on all 4 occasions. So after beating Phil Taylor in the 1994 final, Phil certainly became a bit of a nemesis thereafter for you. I mean, please tell us more. I mean, he wanted obviously to beat you every time he could, or anybody actually, in Phil Taylor's case.
Yeah, he was relentless in his pursuit of the achievements, what he's achieved. The very first one, Russell, the format was completely different to what previous World Championships had been, because we was in groups of 8, 3 in a group, and my very first game was against Jockey Wilson in our group. I think there was myself, Jockey, and Graham Stoddard in my group.
Yes.
And me and Jockey had the honour of throwing the first darts. And I think I went first and I hit 140 and thinking, well, that's a nice start. And Jockey followed with 180. So they were the very first 6 darts thrown on the PDC, World Darts Council as it was then, to hit the board, 140, 180.
Brilliant. What a way to start the PDC.
Yeah.
Can't go wrong with that at all, can you? It's fantastic 6 darts and brilliant stuff altogether. I mean, you had been a 3 times world match play runner-up too, losing to American Larry Butler in 1994. That man again, your emesis Phil Taylor in 1995, and Peter Iverson in 1996. So you were so unlucky not to get over the final line again, Dennis, on so many occasions. I can't imagine how this must have felt with each final you reached. Did you ever start to doubt, or did doubt ever set in at all? Particularly against Phil Taylor.
I didn't, as it all came to fruition. I lost to Larry Butler, and I should never have lost that game. I kicked myself, and I wake up many times with a cold sweat. I was 7-2 up at one stage, and he asked me to have a word with the MC to see if he could get the audience to be quiet. Well, I was in the zone. I couldn't hear the noise or anything because I was really, really focused. And then after that, we came out after break, and I did nothing but hear the damn crowd, and it cost me that final. And then against Phil, obviously, it was a good final. But Peter Iverson was red hot that week. He beat Phil in the early rounds at 8-1. So he were really red up, but I was still in with a chance there. I think I lost something like 16-40, something like that.
Yeah, close matches like that. Yeah, which is unlucky, isn't it? Really, to be honest.
Yeah.
You never got over the line, did you? In that.
No. Yeah. One of my favourite venues as well, Winter Gardens.
Yeah, I think it's
Iconic.
fair to say it's every kart player's favourite venue, isn't it? Because it's also based on games rather than sets. So, as you know, in sets you can win more games and still lose. But
I'd sooner, Russell, to be, if you'd have asked me that question, sets or straight legs, I'd go for set every time. Yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Interesting. But I know a lot of players love the Winter Gardens venue. Some place to go, isn't it?
Yeah.
So, I'll look to get there myself. Actually, at some stage, I've not been there, but I do need to go. I do need to get up there.
Yeah, every July. It used to run into August in the early years.
Yes,
because I remember a few times it clashed with Glorious Goodwood, and that's always early August. Yeah, it's actually starts around about middle of July, around about my birthday.
wonderful.
To be fair, and runs for 10. I think it's 10 days. It runs.
Yeah, it does. And Russ Bray, when I spoke to him, he did actually say he'd get me some tickets. So I'll try and hold Russ to that. Why not, indeed? So we'll see. Get backstage as well, meet some of the guys.
They tell me he's retired from the MC work.
He has. He's doing. He still does competitions, but he doesn't do the PDC's level of stuff anymore. Yeah. I think he's given up the travel. Really, does his exhibitions and does small competitions. And fair play.
Because he's been knocking on a bit now, Russ.
I don't think he's quite at that retirement age, but he's obviously slowed up. He's sold his lovely house, didn't he, and moved into a bungalow, he told me. So obviously that was all part of the pre-retirement.
Winding down, yeah. He's done exactly the same as what me and Jenny Jenny moved, to a bungalow.
Oh, I don't blame you. I mean, getting back to Larry Butler, I mean, what he did about the crowd nuisance, you couldn't hear it. I mean, that must have been some kind of game plan to put you off, mustn't it, really, in the final?
Well, looking back, I never thought of it like that at the time. But looking back, if it was a ploy, what he thought up, it did work. I can assure him.
Yeah, it did work because you were on top of your game, and all of a sudden, you weren't.
Yeah. I was coasting.
Yeah, that's bad sportsmanship, shall we say, in my book. But there we are. It obviously worked out for him, not for yourself, sadly. However, between 1991 and 1994, you were the only player to win more than one Grand Slam major title, winning 3, whilst you also claimed more top professional events or even on the dart circuit, the BDO and WDC, than any other player, and in doing so, attained the #1 ranking from November 1994 through to April 1995. So what was it like to be the world #1 darts player, Dennis?
It didn't seem any different at all at the time. I mean, becoming PDC world #1 was very nice, but I was also the BDO world's #1 at the time of the split. And apparently it was a bit embarrassing for the BDO because they just couldn't wipe us straight off the sheets. I was still top #1 for another probably year running and didn't even play in BDO.
Oh, that's quite crazy, isn't it? Based on your previous results. So it's just strange how it works, isn't it? But that's life, isn't it?
Yeah.
You could say you were #1 in the world completely because you were BDO and PDC world #1. So brilliant.
Yeah. Double world #1, I suppose.
Yeah, double of the game.
Never thought of it like that.
Oh, it's another first almost, isn't it, really, in the world of Dennis Priestley? I mean, that's brilliant. That's how I would look at it. You're probably the only person ever to be the reigning BDO and PDC world champion.
It's like being #1 in the golf and with Liv and #1 in the world with the...
Yes. Absolutely. Undisputed world champion. There you go. That's a good term to use. You were the undisputed world champion, and fantastic too. But of course,
I didn't realise I'd got 3 majors in that one particular year. Something what I didn't realise.
Yeah, no, I got my research.
We dallied with the quadro board.
Okay,
we remember, didn't we?
Yeah,
we had that for 3 or 4 years, which was unique at time, really. A segment what you could score 80 points. He probably needs something like that, bringing into it now. I'm sorry about that.
That's okay. This happens to me before, and I now switch my phone off because you guarantee it will go off when you're in the
Yeah.
middle of a show.
Yeah, it needs something to be entirely different. Bring the quad robot back. That's a tournament they could set in the calendar. Even the one what I lost to Mike Gregory in the final at Norwich. I think it was the Larder Classic.
Mm.
That was level darts, equal darts. We'd do the one double in, double out, and this one was level darts. You could actually hit the 501 first, but if you'd gone first to the hockey,
yes,
the guy following you, say he only wanted 40, and you checked out on 15 dart, and he wanted 40, and he took with his first or second dart, he won that leg. He wiped that leg out.
wow, that's certainly a different format, isn't it?
Yeah, you'd won a leg and then you'd lost it.
Yeah,
which made it dramatic. It's because now we're into a situation where it's all 501, bang, bang, bang.
it is. And usually a lot of 12 dart finishes, 9 dart finishes. Now, it's consistent, isn't it? Very consistent these days. Not like it was in the old days.
I think when we was played the quadro board, I think you could get up and what was it? I think it was 7 or 8 darts. I think it was 7 darts you could.
Wow. Well, that's some game.
Yeah, because you could get 240 and then 230. What would that be? 236 or something like that. Then use 2 darts to set a double up. I think it was 7 darts. I'd have to do my sums again. It's that long since.
Absolutely.
The very first one was in Chesterfield at Aquarius nightclub. I played jockey in the final there actually, but I'd sussed out before the rest of them that going for the treble quadro, the quad part for 80 points was a very difficult thing to do because it was just as small as the bull.
Yeah.
So I would play on treble 20, and if I got 2 in treble 20, and then I'd have a pop at the quad 20, and that's how I played it, and I was successful with that tactic.
Well done. And if you're successful, don't change it. Keep going.
I did. I did. I mean, I won it the year after as well, beating Bob Anderson in Sheffield at a club in Sheffield.
Fantastic.
Dial House. I think that's been raced to the ground.
Yeah, sadly. I mean, Bob Anderson used to come on stage with a horse, didn't he?
He did. They did it once at Circus Tavern.
That's it.
And the seat, I think it was just. I don't think anybody could ride it because I think the ceilings were too low.
Exactly.
They let it in. I mean, that wouldn't be allowed now because there was crowd. I mean, you only got the kick out.
Exactly.
Backwards, sideways, and somebody would get killed.
Yeah, it's dangerous.
They must have picked a real quiet, beautiful horse job.
Or maybe not. Maybe in those days, that's what life was like. No one really cared about health and safety, did they? It just happened. An innovative idea. The limestone cowboy. Oh, let's come on with a horse. That's a brilliant story. Absolutely brilliant. But of course, Dennis, your darts ascendancy, which it was forcefully, and I use that word very loosely, forcefully, ended by Phil Taylor's World Championship and World Match Play triumphs in 1995. You did, however, notch up further major televised title later that year, the inaugural PDC World Pairs, partnering our great and now late, sadly, of course, Eric Bristow MBE. Another first, Dennis, and a great PDC World Pairs final. A win with Eric. I mean, brilliant.
Yes, it was. What year was that one, Russell?
That was 1995.
95, yeah. That was held at in Ayr.
Wow.
Scotland, yes. We triumphed. I'm not sure if we didn't play Phil Taylor in the final and Jockey Wilson.
You may well have done. Yeah, I didn't look into that myself. Maybe I should have done to talk about that story, but
well, I ought to remember, but it's a long time ago.
Absolutely is a long time ago. But another first in the world of Dennis.
Menace. Yeah, it was good. It was played the year after at Salford Rugby Club.
Mm.
And we're driving to the venue, and I'm thinking, this is a rough old area here. There was like a 50-gallon drum in the middle of the street of fire.
Yeah.
And I thought, well, what's going off here? Anyway,
Yeah.
we had no trouble. It was quite good actually. Ronnie O'Sullivan came to watch us as a young teenager.
Wonderful.
Yeah.
What a good man Ronnie is too. I've worked with Ronnie. Lovely.
He's done great things, hasn't he?
Oh, amazing things. And, when you think of his age now, I wouldn't write him off winning his 8th title later this month or next month, beginning of next month.
Well, it looks like he's hit good form yesterday.
Certainly did.
Nice 10-2 victory.
Oh, it's incredible. I mean, it's almost, if he wants to win, he'll win. If he can't be bothered, he won't. That's really the tactic.
It does seem like that, doesn't it?
It certainly does, yeah. I've got Steve Davis coming onto my show. I think we're talking about the 1st of May, halfway through or towards the end of the last weekend of the World Championships, Snooker World Championships. So we'll be talking to Steve about his life, but also talking about what's going to happen in the World Championships. And I'm sure Ronnie will be there and thereabouts. He's bound to be, isn't he?
Well, you'd think so, yeah. I mean, a good little tale of when Ronnie turned up to watch the pairs at Salford.
Yes.
My youngest son, Adam, he'd be, very early teen. He might not have even been a teenager. So that, you reckon that was 95. He'd probably be, he was born in 86. So he'd only been probably 9, 10.
Yeah.
And he went up and asked Ronnie for his autograph. And Ronnie says, no, I'm not giving you my autograph unless you give me your autograph, Adam. And Adam, it was absolutely made up. He thought that was great that Ronnie O'Sullivan knew what, Adam was. So they exchanged autographs.
What a lovely story. And that'll stay with your son for the rest of his life, won't it? And I bet also Ronnie O'Sullivan probably will remember that too.
Yes, I'm sure he will.
Yeah, lovely fella. Well, I wish him luck, of course, as always, in the World Championships. And we will be talking about him on the show with Steve Davis on the 1st of May. So it's great. In fact, the 1996 PDC World Championship final with Phil Taylor, of course, is often seen as one of the best matches in the history of the PDC. Although you hit 15 180s and averaged 101.48 in the match, Dennis, I mean, this is 1996. To be averaging over 100 in those days was incredible, which is, a phenomenal performance. You were edged out 4-6 by the ruthless brilliance of Phil Taylor. I mean, tell us more, Dennis. I mean, this was some wild final, wasn't it?
Well, yeah. I mean, obviously, you get to know all these facts and figures after the game. I mean, obviously, is it crucial doubles at the crucial time? What changed the outcome from me winning and him winning? And he did have a knack of doing that. But I mean, obviously, I won it in '94, and I didn't even turn up. In '95, I was horrendous. I remember my first game. We was in groups again. John Lowe were in my group, and I actually lost 9-0.
Wow!
3 sets to 0. I couldn't hit a double to save my life. Yeah, and I lost. Anyway, it was me, Jockey, and John in our group. I beat Jockey in a tight game, but obviously it was John what progressed through, and it were a poor defensive title, very poor.
Yes, it was.
96, like you said, Russell. I don't know where that came from. That 100 and odd average. I don't think I'd been playing that well. I didn't. When I won it in '94, I never expected much from that tournament because I hadn't been playing well. I just got better each game. Yeah.
But that's the official average that's registered, 101.48.
Yeah, they do tell me so, yeah.
That's incredible averages. I mean, players getting it today, they're happy, but of course now it's more now, isn't it? 108s and 109s, 110s.
Of course, yeah.
It's ridiculous. And as you quite rightly say, it does come down to the doubles. If you hit the doubles, you'll win the match ultimately. But as long as you can bring the scores down with 140s, 180s, you'll get onto the doubles. You've got to hit them, haven't you? You really have.
You certainly have, yeah.
Otherwise, you're out.
as Bobby George said, trebles for show, doubles for dough.
That's it. Good old Bobby George. Lovely fella.
Yeah, whether that's his original saying or not, I don't know, but it's a good one.
It is a very good one. Very good one. It might be an original Bobby George saying. We don't know.
Are we to, Russell, are we to skip 97 final, please?
I got that on here because, we've got to mention it, haven't we, really? Because it's another one, the following year in 97. You again met Phil Taylor in the PDC World Final, but you did struck 14 180s, had a 10 dart leg, which was amazing in those days, and led 2-0. And then, however, it was, if you remember, it was also no avail as Phil Taylor won 6-3. With these incredible PDC World Finals in mind, Phil Taylor stated, I've got to say this actually, because I know you're good friends, Phil Taylor stated in his autobiography that Dennis Priestley is the best player he has, Phil Taylor, ever faced. Phil Taylor makes a similar reference to you, Dennis, in the biography section of his website. Now, that is some accolade bestowed upon you, Dennis, from probably the world's greatest darts player in living history. You were the best player he's ever faced.
No, that's not nice of him to say that. Reason I said let's skip 97. I thought 97 was the 6-0 drubbing I got. But we'll talk. That must have been 98. We'll talk about we're 2 sets to 0 up and coasting, and then Phil, obviously I went up, but Phil got better, and it was a 6-3. Yeah.
And of course, Phil's always good from coming from behind, wasn't he? He did it so many times in his days as a top professional. He won so many championships coming from behind, but also so many championships and just leading from the beginning as well. He was just a really good all-round player.
Obviously, Russell, darts is easy if you're playing your A game all the time, but you're never on your A game. Less you're on your A game a lot less than using your B game, but that's how it goes sometimes.
It does indeed. I think that's probably the same in all sports, isn't it? Whether you're top of the game or whether you're not, you're going to have good days, you're going to have bad days. Yeah. It's life, isn't it?
It's how good you are on your B game.
It is.
End of the day.
Yeah, hitting doubles.
Yeah.
Getting down to those doubles and punching them in. But despite living in the shadow of Phil Taylor for, I say, much of your career, you have nonetheless accomplished some unique achievements. A couple we've already spoken about, Dennis, as well. You are the only man to date to win both the BDO and PDC World Championships, then the WDC, of course, at the first attempt. That's a huge achievement, Dennis, isn't it? So you won the BDO on the first attempt and a PDC.
Yeah, it's nice to be remembered by that. I mean, obviously at the time, never even thought about that until somebody mentioned it. But yeah, it's a nice achievement. But I'd like to think, from playing in my very first World Championship, I did set records and boundaries what needed to be beaten. I did have the highest average in one set.
Yes.
Which was years and years before it was beaten, and I think it was Merv King what beat it. The most 180s in that embassy, 25 180s. Lots of things. I mean, in any sport, the early players and that they set records for other people to beat. Like Ronnie's trying to chase 8 world championship to beat Steve Henry, and Phil's goal at that time would have been to get by 5 what Eric Bristow held.
Exactly.
But little did we know it end up being 16. Setting targets for the up and coming players in years to come is something what's I'm very proud of.
Oh, you should be too. And I think you just mentioned Eric Bristow's 5 world titles. Of course, I think even today, today's players would struggle to get past 5 world titles with the way the game is. I think we can probably safely say that with Phil Taylor's 16 world titles, that will never get surpassed. I mean, because the players now are coming on even younger and younger, better, fitter, sharper, throwing those quality darts as we see today. I mean, just to win 1 world title will be a fantastic achievement. I mean, look at Luke Little. Everyone's talking about Luke being a future world champion, which he probably will be. But he's never going to surpass 16 world titles. I don't think I'll ever get beaten, will it?
No, I don't think so. I mean, he'd have to be competing at the top of the tree for 20 years plus.
Exactly.
To have a sniff of 16. I mean, nothing's impossible, but I think that one is, to be fair. Even though he's got the age advantage,
yeah,
hitting the scene at 16, 17 years of age.
Yeah, he's now 17, isn't he? Winning things, of course. So you've got to say he'll win the world championship. I'm sure he will, the world title. But how many times?
Got 10 years on Luke Humphries, 11 years. And, he's got them years on Michael Smith. And,
he has.
Good players.
Who's coming up behind him? Who's coming up behind Luke Littler? That's the thing to look at, I think. There's bound to be some young players there who are better, just as good, or on the verge.
It is a revelation. There's no two ways about it. It is a phenomenon to do what he's done at 16 years of age. I know he's just turned 17 in January, but I don't know what's going off in his head. How he's coping at such a tender age.
Well, maybe that's his plus point, and maybe as he gets older and it all sinks in, it might destroy his game. That can happen too.
Might be youth. What's keeping him going?
Yeah, the fearless side of things. And of course, what he's also done, which I found amazing, is he's changed his darts, and he's also changed his dart style.
Yeah, I noticed that last week on Premier League. It just it's not much of a stutter. It's just a little poise. What for split second, a little poise when
he never did
when he's let the first one go.
Yeah,
and it's fantastic that a young lad like that's thinking ahead of how he can improve his game.
Yeah,
I did notice which is a big advantage, and I don't know if you spotted it, Russell. He's got extra long points in his darts, and that's leaving the treble bed a lot clearer for the other darts.
Good design, isn't it?
I knew this 30 years ago about if you could play with longer points, but I never got that advantage because I always held my dart on my finger, or just here at the time, and the length of the point was crucial to me. Otherwise, if it wasn't the right length, it'd push my fingers further back up barrel. If it were too short, I'd be too near front. Whereas Luke plays with not touching the point at all, and they're extra long, and I find that a great advantage for that.
Well, he's obviously got great consultants around him to say, look, the way your throwing style is, you can actually throw a different style of dart, and therefore the long dart points have come in. It works with his throw style, I guess, and it's working, isn't it?
Oh, it is, yeah, big time.
Oh, may it go on forever. I mean, and hopefully he does push these championships. I don't think, as you said earlier, that Phil Taylor's 16 is going to ever get surpassed. Not in our lifetime, not in mine or yours. Well, it'll be a long time, I think, to be fair. Well, we'll see.
I would have to be in my 90s to be able to see that.
Yes. And to be honest, that'd probably be the same as me almost. Also, we mentioned earlier on, you are the first man to average over 100 in a World Championship final. And you did average that 101.48 in the 1996 WDC World Championship final in that 4-6 loss to Phil Taylor. And despite, of course, Phil Taylor's average being almost 3 points low at 98.52. I mean, he was throwing a lower average. With those averages, as you say, we discussed, he probably should have won, Dennis, but it did come down to doubles, didn't it, as we mentioned earlier on. But he did only have a 98.52 as opposed to your 101.48. Incredible. Anyway, that's life.
That's life, yes, as I say, that's life, Esther.
It is indeed. Yeah, absolutely. Esther Ransom, absolutely. What a lovely lady she was.
I've got a little granddaughter called Esther, as it happens.
Oh, bless.
I thought I'd slip that one in for her.
Oh, why not?
She ever gets to see this interview.
Oh, I'm sure she will. You've got to get it out to all your family, tomorrow when it's released, and friends, and for them all to enjoy your wonderful show. I mean, you also took part in the Battle of the Champions contest to mark the resolution of the dispute between governing bodies in a matchup of 1994 world champions. You comfortably defeated John Park, obviously BDO, 3-0 in sets. So another piece of interesting history, Dennis. The first on the Battle of Champions too. I mean, it follows you, doesn't it? You're the first in many ways.
Yeah, I believe Phil played Richie Burnett. I think Richie was the 95 winner.
Yes.
And I was the 94 winner, and John was the 94 winner, yes. And then there was another challenge match, which delighted the audience. It was Eric versus the great Alan Evans,
Oh, wow.
the Welsh Fireball.
Yeah, what a player he was too.
Yeah, so that was the lineup at Circus Tavern, yes.
Amazing. But another first in the life of Dennis Priestley. Wonderful stuff, that. Another title as well. And you could say actually there as well, the Battle of the Champions, you're the undisputed world champion again. So that's twice. Being the BDO and the PDC holder at the same time, you're also Battle of the Champions. So you were the undisputed darts champion of the world on 2 occasions. That's something to take away, isn't it?
Yeah.
Wonderful story. And then in 2007, you made your debut in the Premier League darts, the respected darts competition, of course, in which 8 of the best players from the PDC circuit compete against each other in a league format with matches held across Great Britain at different venues, as we still have today, of course. And it's on this evening, by the way, it's Thursday. In the opening weeks, you defeated Roland Sholton, I remember him, Adrian Lewis too, the wonderful Adrian Lewis, gained a draw against Phil Taylor, remarkably, followed by hard-fought wins over Terry Jenkins, Colin Lloyd and Raymond van Barneveld. Although you failed to maintain that form throughout, your good start proved sufficient to earn you a semi-final place. Once again, however, you went down to a loss, 6-11 legs, to eventual winner, your nemesis, Phil Taylor.
Yeah.
Your friend and nemesis, I got to say. An exciting tournament, Dennis, wasn't it, in 2007?
Well,
Proud of your achievements.
I clung on for a semi place by my fingernails. I was tiring greatly from week to week, to be fair.
Yeah.
I mean, little did I know that to be that year I was diagnosed with prostate cancer as well.
Yeah, I did read about that.
It was a tiring ordeal, to be fair, playing in Premier League. That's why I was a little bit apprehensive about young Luke Littler, having a place. I didn't want him to burn him out so quickly.
Yeah, but he's certainly competing well, isn't he? He's certainly holding himself. He's holding himself completely, and good luck to him.
If I'd have been asked any advice on the situation, I would definitely have not kept him out of a Premier League situation, but I would have used him as a guest player every week to play just before the final. It's in Manchester tonight.
Yes,
I would have had him playing one of the superstars from around the Manchester area, maybe Dave Chisnell, and then when it was Liverpool, I'd have him playing Bunting, Stephen Bunting, and in different places doing that because it seems sometimes a little unfair. You've got 2 semis and the final. Now the first semi gets that chance to rest, whereas the second semi is more or less straight back on to play the final. But if they've used Luke Littler to play the guests and the best players near each Premier venue, I think that would have been a nice way to have introduced him in.
Yeah, quite possibly. It's a good idea, an innovative idea. Quite possibly. And of course, I do understand, I've heard as well, at the Premier League darts, the players, before they come out, do a nearest of ball shot to see who plays first, who has the darts first. And of course, that could be a match-winning shot, couldn't it, the nearest of ball? Because if you hold your darts as a player on, you win the match.
Yeah, well, it proved that, didn't it?
Yeah.
Last week,
Exactly.
It went leg for leg with the 2 Lukes.
That's it.
Well, when we played, we didn't bull up. I played. You mentioned a few I played. I played Roland Sholton, but I might have had the darts when I played Roland the first time. When we played second time, he had the darts because we did play each other twice.
Yes.
So that wasn't a problem. You had them one time and you didn't have them the next. It was simple as that.
Yeah.
But
absolutely.
this way they are bulling up. And
I like that term.
It's crucial.
Yeah. That's a great term, isn't it? Bulling up. I like that. And
Yeah.
so you've got to practice your bullseyes to make sure you get the darts when you come out on the Premier League circuit.
I think where we started doing that. I mean, obviously we did it to be Tommy opposite from what the BDO did. They had balls in a bag, and if you picked the right colour one out, you went first.
Yeah.
You know, so I mean, obviously we use it as a skill factor to decide who's going to go first in the match, and it came down to bulling up.
That's probably why quite a lot of players hit the ball now. Actually, in competitions, they're practicing the ball for the bulling up capability, I suppose. And
yeah,
why not? Indeed.
Did you do any research on the tournament where the BDO run it and we was all allowed to play?
I didn't know. There's only certain
that was I think that was called the British Classic, and it was played before World Match Play at Blackpool. It was played the week before, and it was played in an hotel called the Norbeck Castle.
Nice.
And as luck would have it, I ended up being the first one to win it.
Oh well,
which Ollie Croft didn't like.
Another first, Dennis.
Presenting me with a check and not a BDO player. I beat Andy Pyman Smith in the final.
Wonderful.
And then I could see Ollie with gritted teeth.
Yeah.
Giving me the check.
That's a great story as well, isn't it? One to remember. That's a fantastic story. There you go.
Oh, me and Phil won the pairs, by the way, as well.
Yeah, brilliant. That even made it worse for him. So, but there we are. The BDO doesn't exist anymore. It's gone, long gone.
Virtually, yeah.
Yeah. So there we are.
It's just that Russell, they just didn't move with the times.
They didn't.
I mean, it was there in front of them that things weren't going right at all.
Mm.
I mean, if you look in the BDO used to produce a diary every year, obviously.
Yes.
That's what diaries are. But if you look at them in 1998, there was like 12 tournaments on TV or something like that.
Yes.
You got the diary year after, and there was like 3. I think it was the Embassy, the Windmill World Masters, and British Open. That were about it. So they could see that things were rotting away, but couldn't do anything with it.
But the other thing as well.
Blood.
Yeah, they did. They needed younger blood at the top. Yeah. The other thing about it as well was that the PDC, of course, they made it a joyful event. You know, all the singing and the dancing. You know, a proper event that the fans could enjoy and sing. I mean, you've only got to see Raymond van Barneveld come out. You know, the fans go absolutely crazy, don't they? When he used to come out, Raymond, Barney's Army and all this kind of thing. Brilliant. Yeah. And of course, the BDO, silence. And it was like watching darts in a library. I mean, that's not right, is it? I mean, heavens.
We, the very first ones, the very first professionals, obviously myself and everybody what broke away, and we played the PDC tour. We had to get used to that.
Yeah.
Whereas the ones what's coming in now, they know what to expect. We had to learn to get used to all the noise and booing and miss when you're going for it. You know, it's still not very nice. Some of the things what do happen. There was like a whistling escapade a couple of weeks back. You know, just whistling just as you're throwing for a double.
Yeah, that's not good.
And when you've got players in such sweet throwing style as Luke Humphries and Luke Littler and Michael Van Gerwen, Michael Smith. That one, with it such a flowing action, that one little pause at the wrong time, it's crucial to them. Probably not so much with my style, where it was, looking at it and then throwing. So it is crucial to them.
Yeah, you don't want that creeping into the game, do you? That's not good news.
No.
But the whole party atmosphere, I think, is great. I mean, the tournaments I put on pre-COVID, of course, I haven't done anything since COVID, but I made sure they were put on with the PDC style of ethics, so singing, dancing on the tables. And I put one on early doors, I think about in 2016 at Norwich, the Epic TV studios, and I called it the Norwich Match Play Darts Championships. Had some great players there as well. You know, Peter Wright and Adrian Lewis and Mr. Wade, James Wade and co.
Yeah.
Dave Chisnell. I mean, it's fantastic players. In the practice room, they're all saying to themselves, and I've heard this from Colin Lloyd actually. So they're all saying this tonight's night here, Russell, is fantastic. It's just like the early days of the Premier League. And I thought that's a great accolade. And it's packed out. The audience was huge just after a Norwich City Premier League game against Newcastle United. So all these people were coming in their Norwich gear. Peter Wright turned up dressed as a Norwich player with green and yellow Mohican and all the kit, green and yellow. Fantastic atmosphere. I could never have done it with a BDO style, library style. That wouldn't have worked.
No, you've got to give credit to the Sky production team.
Definitely, yeah.
Bringing the music in and etc.
Absolutely right.
I mean, if it hadn't been for Sky taking us on in the early years, what's happened would never have come to fruition. I mean, you got Sky doing what they did very professionally, and we got innovative people like Tommy Cox, who's not with us now, and
passed away.
Mr. Dick Helix, who just passed away a couple of weeks ago. If it hadn't been for them two, putting this breakaway together, it wouldn't be here. I mean, we were struggling for many years, even when Sky was on board, we were struggling for money to pay, prize funds and things like that. And I don't know which one, whether it were Tommy or Dick, what approached Barry Hearn and asked him if he'd like to get on board, and then it went to another stratosphere when Barry came on board.
It would do, wouldn't it, with Barry?
Yeah, he did say, he says, if I can't change things around and make things pay within 3 years, I'll gladly step aside. And he's done what he's done with the help of obviously the PDC and Sky.
Yeah,
and of course, we've gone to other broadcasters, haven't we?
That's of course, yeah. But not forgetting the players as well, like yourself and John Lowe and Eric Bristow, the players that really engineered some of this from a playing point of view, didn't they? They really pushed.
Yeah.
Eric, I know, was instrumental behind it. Bless him. Fantastic. So, I mean, you look back to the days when you go back to the 70s or even the 80s, and you compare it to today. I mean, it's a different game altogether. It's incredible. And you got to thank Barry Hearn and Sky because they put it there, and the players too.
We broke away 16 players, ended up 14 players, and I mean, obviously, your John Lowe's and your Eric Bristows and your jockeys and Bobs, they probably they'll admit it themselves that they would, past the sell-by date to be fair, and it was like myself and Phil and Rod Addington and Alan Warriner were that bit younger. I mean, I was world number one. I'd probably more saloons by backing away from the BDO.
Yeah, but a brave decision that worked. Congratulations to you all.
It's got to be a big thanks to them 14 players, and
definitely.
Like I said, Mr. Tommy Cox and Dick Helix and others what worked in tandem with them. A guy called John Raby. He put money into the situation because we were robbing Peter to play Paul to me, and Phil lent us prize money back, and so we got well paid in finish when Barry came on board. He gave us his money back, and we got extra shares, me and Phil, which is big money now.
Yeah, it is, and fair play to you too. Well, your final big match moments actually in your career came in 2009 when you won the US Open Players Championships, and in 2010 when you won the Australian Open Players Championships. So you were still picking up major tournament championships at the end of your career, Dennis, and a huge career term. And that's nice, isn't it?
Well, I recall that one in 2010 in Australia. We was doing a tour for a bourbon whiskey brand, the Wild Turkey, and
Yeah.
we were doing different venues. And I wasn't actually, it wasn't on my itinerary to play in the Australian Masters. And Richie Burnett and Rod Harrington and Alan Warren persuaded me to fly, get an early flight. We got an early flight from the Gold Coast. We were just done a show into Sydney.
Yeah.
We got registered in time, and look, would have it, I actually won. Being a 60-year-old person.
Yes, exactly. A wonderful story. Absolutely fantastic.
But I didn't know about the 59 one. What did I win?
Well, the 2009, you won the US Players Championships.
Did I?
Yes.
Where does it say whereabouts that?
Oh, I didn't research the location, but it's there in history. On the history, you've got you are the US Open Players Champion of 2009.
Yeah, right, because we played America quite a lot, as I said. We had to go over to form some type of ranking system.
Of course.
And they're only ones what would let us play, because it was in their constitution that they can't stop people competing. And we played in New York and Atlantic City, Los Angeles, Las Vegas.
Wonderful times.
Chicago, Boston.
Chicago. Wonderful.
Yeah.
Great cities, great places to go.
Yeah. Yeah.
I have those myself. Absolutely.
But like I said, with his own flights to pay and his hotel, so you got to play well to cover your costs.
Absolutely right. Yeah, and that's the incentive, isn't it? Get your money back at the very least and make some if you can too.
Yep, exactly.
Absolutely
that's how me and Phil looked at it.
Yeah, good stuff. And at the start of 2015, you announced that you had retired from professional darts, but you would still do exhibitions, and I know you still do those as well. It's fantastic to see. It's all about timing with these decisions, isn't it, Dennis? So how easy or difficult was that decision, Dennis, to finally hang up your darts? I mean, it's a tough one, isn't it?
It was 2015, was it?
Yeah, 2015.
Well, I haven't touched a dart for 2.5 years. I don't even know where they are.
Oh, right. Crikey.
I retired from the exhibition scene 2.5 years ago. I did all the work, what was in my diary during the COVID. The people what came back to me wanted me still to do the exhibitions, and I completed all them. And unfortunately, in the first few months of COVID, I lost a great friend of mine who used to drive me all over. And
sad. Yeah, very sad.
Mr. Trevor Jones. And I was going to the exhibitions, and it just wasn't the same. Because I used to say to him many a time, look, when you've had enough of driving me and looking after me in exhibitions and tournaments, just say the word and we'll pack in. Oh, and he'd come straight back. Well, what we're going to do with ourselves if we do that? But then when it came to an end, him dying, it's 4 years in April actually, April 18th. He went in hospital 3rd of April, which was like 4 years yesterday. Yeah. He had his 67th birthday on the 11th of April and died on the 18th, which was a massive shock. And we couldn't go and see him in hospital. And last thing on my mind, he'd pass away.
Yeah,
I never even give it a thought that he would die.
That's awful. An awful fall.
Yeah.
But it's a fact of life. It happens to everybody. It's one thing we can't get out of. I can remember someone saying to me when I was younger, there are two things in life, Russell, that you can't avoid, and that's paying taxes and death. And I've always looked at it for, hold on a minute, there's only one thing in life you can't avoid, and that's death. You can avoid paying your taxes. That's my funny side to that. That's kind of how I am anyway.
That's Lester Piggott.
Absolutely, yeah. Well, he didn't avoid. He evaded, didn't he? He got prison sentence for that.
Yeah, Ken Dodd got away with it nicely.
He did indeed.
That was a great tale I was told about Ken Dodd. He elected to be tried by his peers in Liverpool. 12 just men. 12 Liverpudlians that they were never going to cop.
Exactly. What a character he was.
A dear love Ken Dodd. I mean, he was a great move, that. Anyway.
Oh, great character too, Ken Dodd. Incredible man. So, look at the clock, crikey. So, Dennis, what are you now planning, be it in darts related or something completely new? What's your next life challenge?
Well, I'm 74 in July. I mean,
Yeah.
I ain't got any challenges.
No.
I do VIP work when asked, especially with the seniors tournament. I was asked to play in the seniors, but I thought, well, I'm not. I wasn't really up for it. It'd mean practicing and etc.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'd lost my good friend. If my friend Trevor had been still alive, I would have played in the
Yeah.
early ones. And I thought, no, I'm not going to show myself up for the sake of a few bob
Yeah.
first round losers. So
Yeah.
I just didn't bother. And
I don't blame you.
now Jason and his crew who run the seniors, they asked me to do VIP work. They let so many people in what pay extra. They let them in an hour earlier, and they get the programs and they get the things signed and they ask questions, and so
Get
it's
to
just a
meet the
bit of
great,
VIP,
iconic dart player in Dennis Priestley.
a bit of VIP work. Yeah.
Yeah, that's all right, isn't it? Keeps your hand in, as they say. That's a
Well,
fantastic thing.
keeps my voice in. I don't, like I said, I don't even know where my darts are. They'll be
Well,
rusty when I find them.
yeah, if you find them, yeah.
Yeah.
But well, you've had a great career in darts. There's no doubt about that. Absolutely iconic. And as always on the World of Lord Russell podcast talk show, we could talk forever, Dennis, about your life and an amazing life it has been as well in professional darts, and of course your life in general. You are really an iconic player. And on that base, if we do meet up out in Tenerife, end of this year, beginning of next year, then we could even do a little on-stage piece with the
From Tenerife.
yeah, from Tenerife. We could do the world of Dennis the Menace there as well. Why not? I've got
Russell.
Alan Hudson's going to be going out, I think, in September, and he wants me to go out and do a piece with him as well. So a football player, so that'd be good.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Kevin Spielek, who was one of the original 14. He's retired out there for the health of his good lady wife.
Wow.
So we get to see Kevin every year.
Nice.
Yeah, he was a great left-handed player, Kevin.
Yeah, no, that's good, isn't it? You've got someone there that you can still meet up with and have some discussions about the world of darts. Why not?
Well, I used to meet up with Eric every year in Tenerife as well. We'd have a drink and John Law.
Yeah. They were always there playing golf, weren't they, every year?
Yeah, yeah.
Wonderful memories. Wonderful memories
Yes,
indeed.
certainly is.
But it's been a huge pleasure as always. And as always, the pleasure is all mine. And of course, the show's audience when this podcast is released on the World of Lord Russell podcast talk show and the Lord Russell Baker YouTube channel. Thank you, Dennis. Ladies and gentlemen, I'll give you Dennis Priestley. Big round of applause going on here. Fantastic story, Dennis.
Thank you.
You're an absolute gentleman. Do you mind staying on for a couple of minutes just whilst I wrap up and finish the show?
No problem.
Brilliant, Dennis.
I'll leave you to it, yes.
Gentlemen, as always. The next episode on the World of Lord Russell podcast talk show is The King of Spin Wins the Ashes, where my special guest will be Ashley Giles, who is a former English first-class cricketer who played 54 test matches and 62 one-day internationals for England before being forced to retire due to a recurring hip injury. Ashley Giles played the entirety of his 14-year first-class career at Warwickshire County Cricket Club. Ashley was also knighted in 2006 New Year's Honours List, where he was awarded an MBE for his role in the successful Ashes winning squad of 2005. So a very exciting cricket podcast on the 11th of April 2024. So, yeah, another exciting show to look forward to on the World of Lord Russell podcast talk show, available, of course, on all podcast media platforms and the Lord Russell Baker YouTube TV channel. And, of course, I'm looking forward to seeing you all on the inside. So until then, it's au revoir from him and au revoir from me.